COVID forced us to embrace virtual work in ways that we could have never imagined and really accelerated the ways in which flexibility has been brought into organizations. But that was because we had to. And now organizations have a choice. And if we want our employees to stay and we want them to contribute and we want them to thrive, then we know that we have to offer them the flexibility that they deserve.
We believe in our empowered leaders. We believe in the inclusive environment that they've created and the ability for these team agreements to have holistic conversations that not only is just a tops down, right? It's not just the leader saying, sit down, let me run you through these 5 things. It's an open discussion.
The new, truly powerful talent algorithm that informs everything isn't just about flexible schedules or remote work possibilities. The future of legal talent wants and needs autonomy. If employers of talent in professional services learned anything from lockdown, it's how much we didn't know about what was going on in our colleagues' lives and in our colleagues' homes.
I spent time with our Black partners and our colleagues, and I went on a journey of listening and connecting the dots because it helped me be able to tell my story, but most importantly, to create an environment of being vulnerable, which again is incredibly important in this day and age.
We look at privilege as we talk about privileged people or people who have privileges, but we don't really appreciate that the truth is we all have privileges. For example, while I have identities that include being a person of color, being a woman, being a member of the LGBTQ community, I also am an able-bodied individual. And so I have to appreciate that in respect to people who have different abilities, I may have a privilege. And the point of appreciating it really is to then figure out the same way that I want other people who have privileges relative to minority identities, I need to figure out how do I lift my privilege in support of other people? What can I do to be a greater ally to people who are different from me?
I remember maybe a dozen years back, I heard the great Rosemary Greco speak, and she, for people who don't know her, was the leading woman in banking, sort of paved the way for everybody else. A similar question was asked of her, and she said, I started out thinking that if there were just enough women in the banking workforce, that merit and time would take care of itself. And at some point, as I was coming into positions of authority, I began to realize that that wasn't going to happen, that I was going to have to take steps to ensure that people got opportunities, that they got considered for positions, sometimes even creating positions for people so that you could see women succeed. And I completely agree with that. And I was very lucky to hear her say that.
The pandemic wasn't impacting everyone the same way, right? And so people with caretaker responsibilities, people with children, people, diverse folks who might have more of a burden placed upon them in many different ways were experiencing the pandemic very differently than other folks were able to, right? And so one of the things that we said is, look, our approach has got to reflect that.
We've been talking a lot about the impact of the pandemic, but we would be remiss, I think, if we didn't also acknowledge the reckoning with race that we have gone through. And so there's a lot that has come with that. There's trauma, there's amazing change. It's been a roller coaster of emotions and a roller coaster of actions as well. And that continues. And so in light of that, I think being conscious and aware of our individual reactions to all of that is really, really important.